It turns out Prince had a point about Diddy all along. Many of you might be curious about whether there was any connection between Prince and Diddy, especially in light of everything Prince was exposing about the music industry. Allegedly, there was indeed a strange link. For starters, Diddy had a deal with Warner Brothers, the same label Prince was at odds with. Diddy profited from his artists without compensating them, and when they tried to speak out, he blackballed them. Prince's last words, "Listen, before they kill me," raised some serious questions. Could it be that he was silenced for speaking out? Stick around to uncover all the details. The conflict between Prince and Diddy was a significant chapter in the music industry narrative. Prince had a clear vision about ownership and the treatment of artists, especially after he began working independently. He shared how, ever since his third album, he opted not to take large advances from record labels. Instead, he recorded his albums in his own studio, which allowed him to retain ownership of his work. "I paid for it and did all the labor," he explained. "I created it, so I felt it should belong to me." However, the record companies saw things differently. They would always point to the contracts he had signed, insisting, "Well, you signed it." In response, Prince emphasized his desire for fairness, saying, "I understand that. It's not like I want to leave, I just want to discuss this and see if we can't make it more fair." Unfortunately, the labels were resistant to change, as adjusting their practices would undermine their existence. "That's kind of the situation we're in today," he remarked. Prince's vision wasn't about hostility, it was about seeking better collaboration between artists and the industry. "It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work," he asserted. "We're talking about intellectual property here. If they're going to be a delivery service, then that's fine, but even FedEx doesn't claim ownership of the items they ship." Adding another layer to their relationship, Prince even lent his house to Diddy for his extravagant parties, although he never actually attended. Prince reportedly had suspicions about the nature of Diddy's gatherings, which were often referred to as freak-offs. He reminisced about the first Diddy party he attended at his own house, describing an atmosphere filled with celebrity glamour. "Imagine going to a Diddy party at Prince's house with Tyrese performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher swinging on swings," he recalled. One notable aspect of these parties was Diddy's strict security policy. He didn't allow attendees to bring their own security. This created an environment that felt controlled and perhaps even isolating for the guests, setting it apart from other celebrity gatherings that were often more relaxed. This dynamic added to Prince's concerns about the nature of the events and reinforced his belief in the need for transparency and fairness in the music industry. The complexities of Prince's legacy became even more pronounced with the legal entanglements surrounding his estate, particularly the lawsuit against JayZ. Notably, JayZ had previously enjoyed a close relationship with Diddy, which made the conflict particularly intriguing. The heart of the issue was that JayZ was allegedly distributing Prince's music on Tidal without authorization, raising serious questions about artist rights and the integrity of music distribution. Unfortunately, history has shown that those who dare to expose or challenge powerful figures like JayZ, Diddy, or massive record labels like Warner often face significant repercussions. Prince had long warned us about the dangers of such entanglements. As we delve deeper into the chaos surrounding Diddy, it's essential to recognize the fierce battle Prince fought throughout his career for ownership and control over his music. He was unwavering in his dedication to artist rights, challenging any entity he believed obstructed musicians' earnings and creative freedoms. Allegedly, this relentless pursuit of justice came at a grave cost: his life. The circumstances surrounding his untimely death continue to fuel speculation and debate, with many fans convinced that Warner Brothers played a role in his demise, given their contentious history. To provide some context, Prince signed with Warner Music in 1977 at just 18 years old. Initially, his albums from 1978 to 1981 did not achieve commercial success, but Warner recognized his talent and kept him on board due to his reputation as a serious musician. It wasn't until 1982, 1 year after MTV's launch, that Prince's music began to make waves on the charts. He became one of the first artists to harness the power of music videos, using them to construct a captivating personal mythos that resonated with audiences. By 1984, with the groundbreaking release of Purple Rain, Prince had ascended to the pinnacle of pop stardom, solidifying his status as one of the biggest artists in the world. As Prince's fame skyrocketed, he seized the opportunity to carve out his own niche in the music industry by establishing Paisley Park Records. With partial funding from Warner, who also managed the label's distribution, Prince seemed to be on a promising path. However, it didn't take long for him to feel shortchanged by the very system he sought to navigate. As he delved deeper into the complexities of record label politics, he found himself engaged in a fierce struggle for his rights. Initially, Prince likely thought that simply expressing his desire to part ways with Warner would be enough to facilitate a smooth exit. However, the reality proved to be far more complicated. Warner, like many record labels, was frustratingly resistant to change. This tension culminated during the lead-up to the release of the Gold Experience, where Prince and Warner found themselves in a tense standoff over finances and creative control. Fueled by his frustrations, Prince took his battle public in a dramatic fashion, famously appearing with the word "slave" written across his face during promotional appearances. Prince's argument was clear. He believed that being signed to Warner meant that they owned not only his music, but also his name and identity. This led him to make a radical decision to change his name to a symbol, a unique glyph that represented his identity and artistry. For a period, he was referred to as Symbol, Squiggle, or the artist formerly known as Prince, a moniker that reflected his rejection of the constraints imposed by Warner. The conflict with Warner escalated to a boiling point, and in a 1999 interview with Paper magazine, Prince articulated his desire to reclaim his artistic autonomy. He expressed his intention to buy back his masters from Warner Brothers, only to be met with refusal. In response, he declared, "I'm going to re-record them, all of them. Now you will have 2 catalogs with pretty much exactly the same music, except mine will be better. You can either give your money to WB, the big company, or to NPG. You choose." Prince was vocal about the control record labels exerted over him and his peers, consistently addressing these issues in interviews and at award shows. He articulated the struggle artists face, stating, "Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. As long as you sign to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well, the majority will not." In a powerful message to his fellow artists, Prince emphasized the need for self-reflection and empowerment. So, as a people, we will be considered a minority. But stop. Let's take a moment and look at yourself. There's nothing about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why, upon winning in their game, you always thank God. This was not just a critique of the industry. It was a call to action. During his speeches, he often expressed a desire for unity and collaboration among artists. Tonight, I would like to ask one favor of you. Imagine what we'll all be like in our own game. Peace and love for one another. Prince was so dedicated to reclaiming his artistic rights that in 2007, he announced plans to take legal action against platforms like YouTube, eBay, and the Pirate Bay for unauthorized use of his music. When Prince passed away at the age of 57, the circumstances surrounding his death sent shockwaves through the music world and his devoted fans. He was found unresponsive at his estate in Minnesota, and health officials later determined that he had succumbed to an accidental fentanyl overdose. Tragically, it was revealed that he had unknowingly taken counterfeit Vicodin laced with the powerful synthetic opioid, leading to his untimely demise in an elevator he had ominously referred to as the devil. This detail about the elevator weighed heavily on those who knew him. One friend recounted a chilling conversation. The thing that kind of spooked me about it all was, he has a song called Let's Go Crazy, and it says, "Don't let the elevator bring us down." One time when I was with him privately, he said, "You know what the elevator is, right?" I said, "No, what's the elevator?" He replied, "Well, the elevator is the devil." Right? It scared me. I don't like to talk like that, but he said that, and so for me, it was really haunting when I read that he was found in an elevator. This eerie connection between his lyrics and his final moments only deepened the sense of loss and mystery surrounding his death. For many, the idea that Prince, known for his health-conscious lifestyle, could die from a painkiller overdose was simply incomprehensible. Health problems that I don't know, right? What I know is that he was really health-conscious. He was a vegan. He didn't drink alcohol. I didn't know of him doing drugs. He worked out, you know? So, that also really concerned me because it made me think, wow, so you mean you do all these things to take care of yourself and you die so young? His commitment to a clean lifestyle seemed to clash starkly with the narrative of an accidental overdose, leaving many grappling with unanswered questions. In the weeks leading up to his death, reports surfaced suggesting that Prince was not in good health. He had canceled several performances and made an emergency landing during a flight home where he received a dose of anti-opiate medication. This raised eyebrows and concerns among his inner circle. If he had indeed overdosed less than a month prior and had been displaying signs of serious health issues, why wasn't he under medical care? The circumstances surrounding Prince's health in the days leading up to his death raised many eyebrows, particularly the fact that he was not under a doctor's care. Given his imminent tour dates, one would expect a clear understanding between him and his management regarding his ability to perform, especially at larger venues. It seemed inconceivable that he would be left without medical supervision, particularly when any unexpected cancellations could have significant repercussions for his career and reputation. In the weeks prior to his passing, there were signs that Prince was acutely aware of the potential dangers surrounding him. Just days before his death, he shared a now infamous photo of himself, along with a chilling message that read, "Just when you thought you were safe." This ominous post, along with his past predictions about his own demise, painted a picture of an artist who felt threatened by the very industry he had long challenged. His final appearance at a gathering at Paisley Park was equally haunting. He reportedly told attendees, "Wait a few days before you waste any prayers." The prevailing belief among his fans and some celebrities is that Prince was murdered. Notably, Kanye West has echoed this sentiment, drawing parallels between his own battles against the music industry and those fought by Prince. "Nobody, this ain't independent," Kanye declared, emphasizing the entrapment artists face within the corporate machine. "Y'all saying, oh, all his tweets was crazy. You know why? Prince gave me the song Jail because he liked what I did, and he's like, I like what you did with them contracts." Kanye went on to describe Prince as a kindred spirit, highlighting how both artists fought against corporate control. Prince trying to get away from corporations, disconnect. Prince with the slave on his cheek, referring to Prince's famous protest against the music industry's exploitation of artists. If you took late 70s to 1980s Prince and plugged him into the social media era, he would have been viewed the same way. Adding to this discourse, L.A. Reid remarked on Kanye's significance in contemporary music, stating, "People love Kanye for sure, but he's great, great. I mean, on the level of Prince but modern day. He's hip-hop. He's not the same thing. He doesn't play guitar. He doesn't play piano. He's not that kind of performer. But for hip-hop, he is a king." Even though Prince is no longer with us, the fight for fairness in the music industry carries on. Today, musicians everywhere have a renewed sense of hope, thanks in part to Kanye West. While some may label him a madman, the reality is that he's simply advocating for fair compensation for his work. He understands the high price of speaking out. Kanye has been outspoken about the threats facing black musicians, suggesting that Prince's death wasn't just tragic, it was orchestrated. Prince's powerful words resonate now more than ever, affirming Kanye's perspective. Through the experiences of artists like Prince and Michael Jackson, Kanye has learned some hard lessons about the industry. He's now taking every precaution he can. When the music industry attempted to medicate him with lithium, he stood his ground and refused. The executives in the industry wanted to control Kanye's image, hoping to present him as something he's not, essentially using mental health medications as a tool to undermine his voice. If they could portray him as unstable, they could easily dismiss his claims as mere delusions. But Kanye is acutely aware of the risks he faces. He knows that the same forces responsible for the untimely deaths of stars like Michael Jackson and Prince are still at play. Fortunately, more people are beginning to recognize that Kanye's warnings are grounded in truth. All of Prince's efforts to advocate for honesty and fairness in the industry were not in vain. They laid the groundwork for a much-needed conversation about justice in music. Diddy's involvement in the music industry, particularly his relationship with Warner Group, offers a stark contrast to the battles Prince fought throughout his career. Diddy and Warner forged a joint venture deal that granted the record company a significant 50% stake in Bad Boy Records. This partnership was designed to bolster the marketing and distribution of Bad Boy's catalog releases, covering both digital and physical formats across the globe. The roster of artists under this label included notable names like Mace, Mario Winans, Notorious B.I.G., and, of course, Diddy himself. In discussing this pivotal deal, Diddy expressed a sense of pride and optimism for the future of his label. He noted, "There have been a lot of boutique record labels that come and go, and we're still here. This has ensured for the next couple of years that we have the right financial backing, the right financial structure, the right partners to remain a force in the music industry." However, this venture drew scrutiny for the very reasons that Prince had fought against for years. While Diddy celebrated his successes, many former Bad Boy artists claimed they had been taken advantage of in similar ways to those that Prince had experienced. The narratives of exploitation and lack of creative control that plagued Prince's career echoed in the stories of artists who had once been part of Diddy's label. This raises a critical question. Do we need to catalog each former Bad Boy artist who has alleged mistreatment? The list would be extensive, and the patterns disturbingly familiar. The situation grew even more complex when Diddy, facing his first major lawsuit, began to return publishing rights to his former artists. This move included a notable gesture towards Biggie, who was a key figure in establishing Bad Boy Entertainment upon its launch in 1993. However, many artists voiced their skepticism about the timing and sincerity of Diddy's actions. They argued that the rights being returned were essentially worthless, as Diddy had already extracted maximum value from their work and contributions long before the gesture of goodwill. As the entertainment landscape continues to evolve, the stark realities faced by artists often come to the forefront, especially for those who have poured years of hard work and dedication into their careers. Take, for instance, the feelings of resentment and frustration that bubble up among performers who invested 6 years of their lives in the industry. They watch as others, like those from Jersey Shore, rake in millions, while they themselves receive nothing despite their sacrifices, dancing in thongs and 5-inch heels night after night. The imbalance is palpable. Then you move on, and you might like something funny he did on TikTok, one artist reflects. But we're the ones who put in the blood, sweat, and tears for years, and someone else walks away with $48 million. And we didn't even see a penny of that. This disillusionment deepens when considering the pittance paid by networks like MTV, which has never brought back shows for reruns. Without the opportunity to capitalize on nostalgia or the cult status of their past performances, they're left without a financial safety net or recognition that could lead to new opportunities. We can't even get the hype of, "Oh, hey, I remember this. Let me hire her for something," they lament. Against this backdrop of frustration, one can't help but wonder about the choices made by artists like Prince, who might have been acutely aware of Diddy's reputation and the culture surrounding him. Jason Lee recounted attending the first Diddy party at Prince's house, noting the strange dynamics at play. "The thing that stood out to me was that no one was allowed to bring their own security to the party." He painted a vivid picture of the lavish affair, where Tyrese performed and Hollywood's elite mingled in a whimsical environment, complete with swings that Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher were enjoying on the other side of the wall. Yet, amid this glamour, there was an underlying tension, a sense that Diddy's parties operated under a different set of rules. Lee's experience at the party reflects a deeper concern about safety and autonomy, a feeling that may have contributed to Prince's decision to distance himself from Diddy. After witnessing the inner workings of Diddy's world, it's conceivable that Prince gained insights into the darker aspects of celebrity culture that often exploited young artists. Perhaps it was in that moment, realizing the dynamics and control at play, that Prince chose to cut ties with Diddy. Let's take a moment to discuss Diddy's former best friend, JayZ, and his connection to Prince. During a tumultuous time when Prince was at odds with Warner Brothers, he reportedly turned to JayZ, believing that he had the best interests of artists at heart. This led to a deal between Prince and Tidal, the streaming service partly owned by JayZ's Roc Nation. However, things took a turn in 2016 when Prince's estate authorized NPG Records to file a lawsuit against Roc Nation for allegedly uploading 15 of Prince's albums to Tidal without permission. The lawsuit claimed that Tidal had only been granted a 90-day exclusive license for Prince's studio album Hit and Run, and that by hosting the other albums, they were infringing on copyright. Tidal, for its part, maintained that they had received both written and verbal licenses to be the first streaming platform for several of Prince's albums. But NPG pushed back, arguing that the agreement was fabricated and backdated to make it look legitimate. They acknowledged that Prince had indeed struck a deal for Hit and Run, but insisted there was no evidence to suggest that the agreement included any other works or that Prince had ever been granted equity in Tidal. As the dispute unfolded, Roc Nation seemed to ignore numerous requests for documentation or evidence of any verbal or implied agreements that would justify their rights. This situation has led many to draw comparisons between JayZ and Diddy, suggesting that they're essentially two sides of the same coin. Critics argue that both are capable of similar questionable tactics. When Prince spoke out about The Machine, many believe he was referencing figures like Diddy and JayZ. Unfortunately, like so many artists before and after him, it seems that he had to navigate these complex relationships and ultimately separate himself from them. What do you think about everything Prince tried to reveal about the music industry? Do you believe that's what ultimately contributed to his untimely death? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time.